I got married 5 years ago, and my husband is the love of my life. My problem with the love of my life is something very simple: his mother and sister. From the very first moment they saw me, I knew they didn't like me, especially his sister. I wouldn't have cared if it weren't for the fact that when my husband is with them, he becomes a completely different person. My husband is a very kind and loving person, but as soon as he sits with them, he turns into an annoying gossip. Every time we all gather, the three of them sit and mock others and make fun of everything. My mother-in-law tried to involve me in this, but I refused. The behavior itself is not just wrong, but it also shows a childish side. No, not just childish, it's like a lost childhood. I was sure that they would do the same thing to me the moment I turned my back. I had my first daughter, and I used to take her to their gatherings until she turned 3. After that, I started making excuses to my husband that I couldn't go. Honestly, it was the perfect break for me to stay home while he took her out, and I'd get 2 hours to recharge. After exactly 2 gatherings, my daughter came back to me crying uncontrollably, and her father was laughing. My daughter overheard my mother-in-law insulting me, calling me a bad mother, and when my daughter objected, she told her, "No, she's a bad mother and she doesn't love you. If she loved you, why would she leave you? She doesn't want you." My husband thought it was a joke that his mum was just teasing her granddaughter. I calmed my daughter down, fed her, put her to bed, and spent the rest of the night in frustration over what they had said. Of course, he defended his mum hysterically, but I confronted him directly. I didn't care what he said because I saw how mean they are, how they gossip behind people's backs, so I wasn't surprised. He objected and said that what they were doing was just joking. I told him there's a huge difference between laughing with someone and laughing at someone, and that what they were doing was bullying. They all need to grow up. When I objected, I asked him to go sleep at his mum's. Honestly, I wanted him to go back to her so she'd know I wouldn't tolerate any words spoken against me. Since then, something beautiful happened. Something I've been waiting for ever since I knew them. They cut off contact with me. My husband came to apologize, but also tried to explain that they were just joking. His apology didn't matter to me. I was sending a clear message, and I got the reaction I wanted. It worked. My husband's sister met a Scottish businessman who's very nice and generous. I noticed her acting strangely, like visiting us just to show off the expensive gifts and jewelry he had sent her. As if she wanted to show me off. Every time I'd just respond, "Oh, nice. May God bless you." Now I'm pregnant again in my 7th month. Suddenly, I found my mother-in-law and her daughter knocking on my door. I welcomed them and told them my husband wasn't home. My mother-in-law said, "We know, we're here for you." I said, "Okay, what's going on?" My mother-in-law told me she really wanted me to make her a large apple pie because I make the best one and she's having a gathering soon. I tried to decline, but she wouldn't let me. I explained that I'm 7 months pregnant, have a 4-year-old daughter, and a home to take care of. My husband's sister said I was overreacting because I don't work, and I have plenty of time to make them the apple pie. Before I could hand anything to her, she grabbed her mum and left. As if I was definitely going to make them what they wanted. When my husband came home from work, I told him what happened. He said, "What's the big deal? Just make them one." When I told him I was exhausted, he kept insisting that I could make it, that I'm the best at making apple pie, and that there's nothing sweeter than my apple pie. I found out from a relative of my husband that my mother-in-law and her daughter were insistent because the Scottish businessman was coming to meet his potential future mother-in-law with his family, and they were going to his farm afterward. This meant he was most likely planning to propose to her. And since he and his family loved sweets, my mother-in-law kept telling them that she made the best apple pie they'd ever taste and that she'd make it for them when they came. She wanted to make me suffer and take credit for it. How sweet! I don't know if my husband knew about this, but honestly, I didn't care. On the day of the gathering, I woke up, turned off my phone, and my husband, before leaving for work, told me that he'd be heading straight to his father's farm and might stay there. I asked him to bring me food for me and my daughter before he left because I was feeling very tired. He brought the food, kissed my head, and left. Most likely he had no idea or had forgotten. I had a peaceful day, knowing that no one would knock on my door because they were at the gathering. The next morning, I woke up and opened my phone to find a bunch of messages from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. At first, they were wondering where I was and where the pie was, and then they escalated to insults. As soon as I saw the messages, my mother-in-law called me and she exploded with insults. I had a big smile on my face, and when she finished, I hung up on her without saying a word. I sent the recording of the call to my husband and told him that his mother was not allowed to come near me or my children, or I'd file a lawsuit against her with this recording full of insults and humiliation. I'd expose her to everyone in their community. My husband came home looking troubled. The first thing he said was that I didn't have to do what I did, that I embarrassed his mum in front of everyone. I told him I had never even agreed to make the apple pie in the first place and that I was physically tired. The fact that his mom thought she could order me around and I'd just jump to do it was a fantasy. I found out from a relative of my husband that his mother felt very embarrassed, so I decided to escalate things by sending the recording to my father-in-law. He's a more level-headed man and lives on the farm away from all this hysteria. I called him, crying and complaining, and he spoke to my mother-in-law, tearing her apart. He told her not only had she lied, but she also embarrassed herself by not thinking to secure the gathering with sweets from any place. He asked her to call me and apologize. Now I'm waiting for my mother-in-law to call me to apologize, so I can tell her I accept her apology just for my husband's sake.